Hello everyone, welcome to UPSC Economics by Rohit Lal. So in a recent news development, we know that the base year for Index of Industrial Production has been revised to 22-23. So what we're going to do today is we're going to understand the changes which have happened in the IIP basket and what were the reasons for bringing about those changes. So the first key thing we know is that the base year for Index of Industrial Production has been revised from 2011-12 to 22-23. So the base year has been revised. Now if you were to understand what IIP is, so IIP basically is a statistical indicator and it helps gauge the changes in volume of production which are taking place in the different industrial sectors in the economy. So it's a statistical indicator to understand the changes which are taking place in the volume of production in the economy. Now if you talk about who publishes IIP, so IIP is published by the National Statistical Office under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Now IIP can be calculated by two broad methods. So the first way is the sectoral calculation of IIP, and this is the indicator which is published in the newspapers as well. The second is the use based classification of IIP. So what we're going to do first is we're going to understand the sectoral breakdown of IIP. So IIP can be calculated by aggregating the production activity across four broad sectors as of now. So you have manufacturing, which has the highest weight of 76.06%. Then the second broad sector for calculating IIP is mining and quarrying. The third broad category is electricity and gas supply. And finally, a new category which has been added is water supply, sewage and waste management. So earlier, the IIP indicator, which had the base year of 2011-12, only had three broad sectors, which were mining, manufacturing and electricity. However, the new series has added a new sector, which is the sector of water supply, sewage and waste management. In addition to this, it has also added the sector of gas supply as a part of electricity earlier. So the key changes which have been incorporated in the new indexes that you have a new sector of water supply, sewage and waste management, and then you also have an addition of gas supply as part of the sector of electricity. So this is the sectoral composition of the IIP. Now the different industrial goods which make up the IIP or which make up the index can also be categorized based on the economic use. So you can have a use based classification of IIP. So the different industrial goods can be categorized based on their usage. So based on that, IIP is calculated by aggregating the output based on these six broad use categories. So if you talk about the use based classification of IIP, the six categories or the six use categories are: you have primary goods. An example would be iron ore. So primary goods refer to goods which are obtained from nature and they are used for further production. The second use based category is capital goods. Now capital goods refers to goods which are used to make other final goods. So for example, you could have a blast furnace which is used to manufacture steel. So it's a machinery. It's a final good which is used to make other final goods. Then you could have the category of intermediate goods. For example, chemicals. So chemicals are inputs which are used to make final goods. The fourth category is infrastructure or construction. For example, cement. The fifth use based category is consumer durables. So consumer durables are goods which are not perishable and they can be used by a consumer for a certain amount of time. For example, your television is not going to wear and tear in a very short duration of time, so it's a durable good, it's a consumer durable good. Then you have consumer non durable goods such as milk. So these are perishable commodities which have a short shelf life. So the use based classification of IIP, the benefit of calculating IIP using the economic usage of goods is that it helps the government understand where the growth in industrial activities is taking place. So is the driver of growth consumption, or is the driver of growth investment or infrastructural activity? So these are the two broad ways in which IIP is calculated. The key method, which is the headline method, you could say, which is published in the newspaper, is using the sectoral aggregation, and the use based classification is used for additional or supplementary analysis. Now, what was the reason for revising the base year of IIP? So, the key reason was that the Indian economy and the industrial sector have witnessed significant changes over the last decade. So, the Indian economy or the industrial sector has witnessed significant changes. And some of these changes are, for example, we witnessed the growing digitalization of the Indian economy. So, with the growth of internet, what we witness is that there has been an rapid revolution or rapid growth of usage of smartphones as well as the consequent electronic manufacturing. However, if you talk about the old IIP, which had the base year of 2011-12, it assigned a lower weightage to these activities. So once the IIP is revised, these items are going to be having a suitable weight as per their current importance in the economy. The second example would be that now you witness a rapid expansion of solar power and wind power in the Indian economy. However, the industrial sector, if you talk about, or the industrial data which is captured in 2011-12, was dominated primarily by coal power as well as the conventional sources of power. So what is going to happen now is that the revised IIP is going to help better capture the production which is taking place to manufacture these clean energy products. Thirdly, the reason for incorporation of gas in the sector of electricity is that we witnessed in India compared to 2011 and 12 that there is a rapid expansion of piped natural gas for supply to Indian households for their cooking needs, as well as there is an expansion of CNG network for vehicles. Fourthly, since 2011-12, what we witness is that there has been an emergence of new manufacturing sectors or items are getting manufactured now in a greater quantity which were not very significant in the earlier time. For example, India, once we started adopting electric vehicles more significantly, we witness a rapid growth in the manufacture of lithium-ion batteries as well as EV components. Now, a growth in these manufacturing items is gonna show up better in the modern basket which incorporates these activities, or else these new items which are getting manufactured would be underrepresented in the IIP basket. Finally, the reason for incorporation of a sector of water supply, sewage and waste management is that in the last decade, the government has made massive investments to improve the quality of life of its citizens. So you have massive investments towards urban water supply, you have massive investments towards sewage and as well as solid waste management. A large driver for all of this is government initiatives such as the Swachh Bharat initiative, and also the government is investing in waste to energy plants. So now these activities were largely absent from industrial production management earlier, but now because a new sector has been added, these activities are going to be effectively incorporated. So this was the reason for the revision of IIP. So this is broadly the changes which have happened, and this is how the new IIP looks like. Another key thing to remember is that the manufacturing sector is still the key sector or has the highest weight in the IIP, and it continued or it did have in the earlier indicator as well. So this is all we wanted to cover in this video today. Thank you so much for watching. Do leave your comments and please check out the other videos on the channel in regards to current affairs as well as the static portions of economics. Also, do subscribe to the channel in case you already haven't. Thank you so much for watching.